Casey and I are delighted to spend 25, 30 minutes with everybody here. We are going to quickly go through a million examples, and your head might be spinning by the end, but that's all right, of different ways you can use mobile. And we would love it if you chat with us on the phone. And Hank, I see you're watching us on your phone. Go ahead and hit chat and ask us questions as you're going through. My name is Dave. I founded the company in San Francisco about 16 years or so ago. And we probably 50%, 60% of our business, I think, Casey, is probably government related in some regard. So it's just really exploded. And Casey, maybe introduce yourself.
Yeah. So, Casey Lowenthal, I'm the customer success manager here at Engage Buy Sell. I've been with the organization for about 6 years. And my role here is to work with our current clients to help them find the value in the platform that they purchase with us. So I've worked with tons of different government agencies and workforce throughout my time here and built kind of a quite a good knowledge base of how you guys operate and kind of the value of how you use our platform.
And as Casey said, if you end up working with us, he would be the fellow that would make your mobile experience successful. And we've got 3,000 clients or so, so we know what works and what doesn't work. Uh, and as you all know, there's my camera. I don't know why my camera went off. And as you all know, just because you have technology doesn't mean it's going to always work. I mean, the technology might work, but to get it to really do what you want it to do, and that's Casey's job. All right, let's dive in here. So a little bit about us. Everything we do is cloud-based. We are not a big fan of apps that you have to download. So we are very much a believer in things and content that can be accessed on a phone or on a computer, but all URL based. That's kind of half of our company. And then the other half is all about text messaging. And probably 70, 80% of you are going to be interested the most about the text messaging. So as Casey had mentioned, we've been doing this for 16 years. We have clients in the training and the HR and the safety, marketing and nonprofit. So it's not just focused in one industry. And I'm guessing every single person on this call, we probably helped in some regard with the kind of work that you do. A few of the organizations, Casey, you can talk about that we work with.
Yeah, here's a small snippet of some of the government agencies we work with. Some you'll recognize, but we have Tennessee, New York, New Jersey, Texas, California, Wisconsin. We're all over the country, some of the Caribbean islands, as well as Canada. And Dave mentioned this is just a small portion of our government agencies, but our platform is very widely used for tons of different use cases. So some of them may be even relevant to you guys that you'll see today. But yeah, this is just kind of a little bit of some of the organizations we love to work with.
Lots of cities, lots of Department of Labor, a lot of workforce development. And I know that many of you work in that space. So we're going to talk about that in particular. But lots of different experience. All right. The problems we're trying to solve are pretty obvious. They are, how do we engage with my audience? My audience might be fellow employees who are not reading their email, or maybe they don't even have an email account because they're landscapers or truck drivers. And how do I get content that might be buried in forms or documents or PowerPoints, or maybe even on your website? I know workforce development has spent years building all this content repository on their website. Sometimes it's very hard for job seekers who are not that comfortable navigating computer-based websites to access that. So we are trying to, through mobile, help you folks that are on the webinar today figure out a better way to engage, touch, connect with the audience that you all work with, whether that's internal or external. I know from working with hundreds, if not thousands of you folks, budgets are limited. If they come up once a year, you've got, a very tight budget. So mobile, I think, can be a huge money saver. Certainly when you think about postage and putting up signs and all of that stuff, mobile is going to really save you some money. And then Casey, just talk a little bit about the whole problem with forms, which is kind of a subset of what we do.
Yeah, so a lot of times getting someone to complete a form, having them to have come in person to actually physically write out the form and submit it or print it out, mail it. We have a digital form feature too that allows you to easily upload a document, PDF of some sort that converts it to a very mobile friendly fillable form. They fill out the fields as small or as advanced as forms as you have. They submit it, it converts it back to a PDF, generates it in an email, and then stores it archived in our platform so that for compliance purposes, you can go back and reference those documents.
Right. All right. Let's get into basically our suggested solutions. And by the way, we're a technology software company. So if there are technologies out there that are easy to implement, we have analyzed them, scrubbed them, and what we've come up with is these two things make the biggest difference that you can imagine. They are better solutions than a downloadable app. I think they're better than WhatsApp or WeChat. Certainly, they have a bigger reach than um, X or Facebook or LinkedIn and Twitter. And we're just trying to make these solutions so easy for you to turn on and for the individual users to access. So everything we're going to talk about today kind of boils down to, on the left side of the screen, how can you use text messaging to get people to pay attention to your message? It used to be we would always read our emails. That is just not the case. I don't know. It'd be interesting in the chat window. Maybe we'll see who has the record, who has the most unread emails in your email inbox. That'll be kind of an interesting record. So text messaging is the thing that we're really bullish on. And then on the right side, we'll show you this in more detail. It's a mobile platform where you can drag and drop icons to create content. And that content can be training content, workforce development content, safety, community outreach, even tours of your historical sites in town. So Casey, tell us a little bit about, I think most folks don't quite understand, there's a whole world behind text messaging that those of us that are just consumers don't really understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're all probably familiar with texting our friends, our family, getting a reminder for a haircut or an appointment at the mechanic's office. But in terms of business texting, there's a few different types. We'll apply these to different use cases a little bit later in the webinar, but kind of the functionality, different types. So an inbound text is users opting into a list. Our platform has a way for you to create unlimited lists based on job roles, regions, industries. And when users opt in, they're essentially giving you the permission for them to receive future messaging from you. And that content can, as they opt in, can create automated generated responses from you and your organization that you guys customize. Once they're opted in is where the real fun starts. That's when you can start pushing out messaging to them. That's appointment updates for job fairs. That's resource management. That's sending out different timely resources that need to be done for unemployment purposes or for someone to get into that specific job fair. So the outbound texting is a big one. And then with those outbound textings, there's a couple different types. We have a text chat feature, which some of our organizations love. This gives you the opportunity to have sort of a one-on-one communication. So in our platform, you can push out large batch group messages to large lists, any message that comes back into the system is then on a one-on-one communication. So you don't have to worry about people getting access to other users' phone numbers or being on a list of back and forth conversations that aren't relevant to them. And then your staff, either on their desktop or on their own personal cell phone, using your organization's phone number that's set up through our process, can actually reply back to them on a little chat communication and help resolve issues. We have instructors using this, we have caseworkers. So they're really managing their lists kind of internally, personally. And then a great fun kind of addition to the texting service is using MMS, stands for Multimedia Messaging. This allows you to include images, a short little GIF, much larger character count, and in some ways to kind of build trust, there's a virtual card option as well. So you can send your contact information via text, and users can simply just save it directly on their device. So any future messaging that comes in will have your guys' brand logo, addresses, emails, and of course, that phone number stored in their device.
And it adds a little credibility too when you send a text out and you put your logo in and it's the city of or the county of or Department of Labor. It does just make it seem like, okay, this is really from that organization that I signed up with. So those are some of the forms of texting. Casey, what do you want everybody to do?
Yeah, so for participation today, our team has a few messages queued up that'll help kind of prove some of the concepts and provide some links and access to some. So a couple different ways that you can opt in, and this would be the same with your users as well if you were to sign up. There's QR code option as well as just sending a manual text. So if you open up your camera on your phone, the easiest way is just open up your camera. More than likely, it has kind of a QR code scanner built in, and you scan that QR code right on the screen. It should pop up a message, autofill the phone number 56512, autofill the word demo in the body of the text, and just simply send it. And you should get a response back almost instantaneously. If you don't have a QR code reader, just open up a new text message. The phone number you'll send it to is 56512. And then the word demo goes in the body of the text.
And let us know in the chat window if you were successful in getting that text sent. Like Casey mentioned before, if you have lists of people that you know want this information, you can upload those through an Excel. We could build a little API, it's software words for protocol that can tie right into a database, or you just post the QR code or the texting. So I see Betsy and all these other folks. Hello, everybody. Okay, great. You've joined
And
the list.
just seeing how quickly you all did that would be the same process for your users. You would have this on brochures, on A-frame signs at job fairs, on digital marketing, such as we have today, on email applications, on your website. So the ways that you can get people to opt into messaging is quite seamless.
We were talking yesterday, Casey, with some folks in the emergency management world in the state of Idaho, and they were wondering how would they build their list because they don't have phone numbers. And I said, if you posted that QR code on literature on your website, every mailing you ever do has that. Every email you ever send has that QR code. You will be amazed at how many people will want to get a text because they know they're not answering phone calls. I mean, how many of you folks right now, if you got a phone call from me, I'm a 415 number, you probably would not pick it up because you think it's going to be a spam call. And how many of you are getting so many emails today that you're just hitting delete, delete, or they're going right into spam? But if you're interested in jury selection or a tour or paying your property tax or finding a job or all the other things that you folks do, you will gladly sign up for a text message. So the power of texting is just incredible. And you're going to hear me talk about that over the next 10 or 15 minutes. All right. So as I said, half of our company services are about texting. What we've got here is just some examples of organizations that use our mobile platform. You know, if you went to your IT department and said, you know, I would love to have a couple pages about XYZ. They may say, well, I'll get to it in 3 months, 6 months. With our platform, you can load content on the fly. You see here at the top left, we've got a follow-up survey. That would take, what, 3 minutes, Casey, to build a page that has a little survey on it. Next to it is an example of the Virgin Islands. Their workforce development group puts just the most important things on this mobile platform. On the right side, top right, is so many organizations have found that getting people to fill out forms, printing them, faxing them back is a real difficult thing. So why not convert it to digital and have them sign it with their finger? So all these are just examples of how you can store content, videos, photos, PDFs, whatever it happens to be, and then use some engagement tools such as polls and surveys. Casey mentioned digital forms, even GPS maps we have. And all of a sudden, when you combine the texting with the mobile site, it's really this 1-2 amazing punch. You see this one bottom left, Middlesex County. Middlesex County, one of our first clients in the government space. They have 1,000 or 2,000 job seekers at any time. They will send them a text, say, check out this link. We've got an amazing skill up session next Thursday, and here is the link for it. Click the link and you go right to that. And you can see there's a little video here. I can watch the video right on my phone. Doesn't go to YouTube, it just plays right in the browser. In 2 or 3 minutes, Casey, they've got the engagement that in normal world with sending out emails, they would never have.
And reporting to go along with it.
That's right, because every single time one of your users, whether it's internal or external, touches one of these sites, we know, and you would know too through a report, that you got 75 hits today on that skill up page between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. So you'll know all that kind of detail because it's all basically cloud-based. All right, so now we're going to go into about 5 or 6 or 7 different departments, and we'll try to get through this quickly. Workforce development is one of the first ones we're going to talk about because so many of you are on the workforce development side. One of the first ways people are using our service is send a text message that there's a job fair coming up, or maybe send a text saying, how is it going with your search? Is there anything else I can provide to you? Maybe the career coach is helping them. Or maybe it is just going to one of these circles that you see behind me for the Virgin Islands. Here are some videos on interviewing tips. We've even built some Chat GPT in to our platform here, so they can use Chat GPT to find out how to interview for a nursing job or how to prepare for a job as a truck driver. All of that can be done by this combination of sending a text, clicking a link from the user, and then going to one of these pages. Casey, talk a little bit about this one.
Yeah, so obviously one of the biggest things with workforce development is engagement and increasing engagement. So getting high attendance at job fairs and events that you all host is kind of critical. We've seen tons of feedback from our clients that just simply a text along with the email, you'll still send the email because it's the process that you've done before. But the increase in the fact that everyone opens text messages. Dave talked about how many people have probably 50 to 100 unread emails in their inbox. I doubt any of you on the call today have 50 or 100 unread text messages. So you're going to get that text, you're going to be reminded of that event, and you're going to move on. So absolutely increasing attendance. And the cool thing is you could just come in, pre-schedule these texts in advance of the job fair. Maybe you send one 2 days, a day before, the day of. You could schedule those out 6 months before the job fair, go on to your other job roles and know that those messages are going to go out.
Yep. And Casey, you have clients that might have 50 people attending a job fair, but you have some clients in Texas that send out 50,000 because they have such a demand for the texting.
Yeah, it's the thing with our platform is it's definitely ranges in size. It can accommodate a small organization that wants to send a few hundred texts a month to, like Dave said, we have organizations that send 500,000 to 1 million texts a month to large lists, and
Hmm.
it's simply things like job fairs and attending events.
All of you that got the text, go ahead and click that, and then you'll see there's a little picture of Burlington, little MMS, like Casey mentioned, and there's a little link. And when you click the link, you go to this page that we're looking at. And if you tap the logo, you'll go to their home screen. So it's basically this portal, this menu of all the things that me as a job seeker I need. But if you folks work in, I know we have some people from risk or from safety, you could have your own icons that represent what you're trying to convey. Casey, talk a little bit about, job openings, maybe something just came up, as well as partnering with my corporate clients looking for workers.
Yeah. So a lot of times we'll have organizations that work with local businesses in their areas to help them fill job postings. And they do that through the text messaging. I mentioned different ways that you can segment lists based on type of job roles. And you could have somebody who's interested in hospitality jobs be on a list that is not going to receive jobs about working in the trades, or vice versa, or jobs for education. So some of these are examples of specific positions that are open so that people don't have to hop onto Indeed or um, Craigslist every other day to find it. They can get job openings in a timely manner, and that helps with the organization actually filling those positions and really opening up casting a wider net of quality candidates for their positions as well.
And you can set up a texting plan for all of the businesses in town that are coming to your job fairs, et cetera. So you can have as many of these texting lists as you like.
And sometimes you can even get funding from those partners to help pay for portions of the platform. For them, it's a benefit, and for you guys, it's a benefit. So it's a win-win.
Yep. This one I love. I think probably everybody on the call has something to do with the public. This happens to be a workforce readiness workshop, but once again, it could be an event that your park and rec department is putting on, or any of your departments are putting on. This was Friday in September, 9 to 1. What they did was they let people sign up by clicking this QR code to get text messages. And probably what they did was the night before, they sent a text to everybody on the list, a couple thousand people. Hey, don't forget, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Here's a link to maybe a Google map, where to park, etc. And they probably sent another text at 8 a.m. Friday morning. How many times do we appreciate getting a text as long as it's not spammy? And I think for all of you working with the public where you have some kind of events going on, having a text with a link to a mobile page is just so darn powerful. All right. Casey, one of the newer services is this thing called text chat. I think all of us will communicate with our customers or our visitors or maybe job seekers using our own personal phones, but that's probably not a really great idea. So our engineers built something called text chat. So how is that useful? Not just for workforce development, Casey, but in general.
Yeah, I mean it's really just a way for you to have one-on-one communications using either your desktop or your phone, but using the business organization phone number and having real-time conversations. Sometimes messages that go out don't require a response back, and many times they do. Or in your specific case, you may design your text platform in order to increase engagement and have case managers chatting and resolving issues. Some, like Dave said, sometimes a lot of people don't answer their phone, but you guys all still have to pull your job. You need to find out if they've gotten work, if they've been applying for jobs. So sometimes through a text message, that'll work and suffice for the communication you guys need. And that's all tracked with kind of a paper trail. So you'll have documentation of all conversations that you've had with a specific user. And then outside of just the workforce mentality, really any way that you'd want to do it. We have a museum or a garden in Florida that will send out responses to their visitors asking about specific plants. So just think of the wide range of use cases from workforce development to plant identification and really everywhere in between.
And you're trying to save people calling, then you have to return those calls. They don't answer the phone because they don't know who you are, or emails back and forth. This texting system can be done through a platform, and there's an archive of every text that has come in. So it is a very efficient way to communicate with your staff. All right. Casey, these are just examples of some workforce organizations. I think we'll probably move on because we've talked about this, but it'll be in our slides. And all of these are public sites, these QR codes that you see here. These text messages on the top right, these are real text messages from our clients. This organization needs health aides. This Diane must be a someone that they are talking to as kind of a career coach. And then the person said, yes, I received a raise, et cetera, et cetera.
And just to touch on the QR codes, those are not initiating text messages, which is what the QR code you did before is. But the QR codes will also have the option to take you directly to a mobile site, so it doesn't always have to initiate a text. And then every page that you build out generates a unique QR code that either looks like our standard, or you can actually brand it to your organization with uploading of logos and color schemes, so it can look a little different than your standard QR code. But say you're at a job fair and you just want people to provide them the details of the event that they just attended rather than printing out all your documentation, you could have a unique QR code just for that specific event at on site. They scan it, they have access to the content just as if they grabbed a brochure on the way out.
Casey, we all just got a text from Anna, and it was a real text that we pulled from Newark Works. And it looks like this. You should have all received it. And then there was a little bit.ly URL that takes you to the registration page on their site to register for the event. So you can imagine how handy that is. I don't know where the link is. I didn't even remember that was going on next Friday. Here I get a text. There's the link. I click the link, I fill it out, and I'm done. All right. We work with an awful lot of workforce development, but also community college, vocational, a lot of adult ed. The Department of Labor in Tennessee is one of our larger uses of the adult ed. In that case, the teachers want a way to communicate with the students. Classrooms are changing. The teacher's sick. It's got to be shifted. So imagine letting the teacher have their own little sub account so they could send out text messages, not using their personal phone, to the folks in their ESL language. So once again, kind of same use case in a way as workforce development, but just so darn handy. Casey, Treasury, totally different use case, but still powerful.
Yeah. One thing we all dread is property taxes, but if you got a reminder on it to make sure you didn't get any delinquent fees on those property taxes, I'm sure we'd all accept a text message or two on coming dates and reminders. Having people opt into messaging services where they don't anticipate getting 100 texts a year, but rather a couple in the month of October or the month that taxes are due, is definitely a very welcomed one. And the uplift of your organization in terms of implementing something like that is fairly minimal. But the power of it can bring in more funds and save time in terms of your organization having to do that outreach.
Yep. And of course, you can put a link right to your website so that you can pay the property tax right there. Or maybe you use text chat. If I'm trying to interact with Casey, my my property owner, and he has some issues. I didn't think I owed the property tax, or I sold that property. That can all be communicated with via text message chat. What about public works?
Yeah, so similar use cases, having people opt into um, citywide text, so road closures, events that may adjust where people need to be, or volume of people in certain areas, places to avoid. We have a few that do trash collection as well. So if your trash is not going to be picked up on Tuesday and it's coming on Wednesday, leave it out on the street. A simple text is probably going to get more activity than a voicemail that people may not actually check and go back to. So updates that way are typically very welcomed.
And we just all received a text from the Gallatin City Council. And if you click that link in the text, it takes you to the city of Gallatin. I know we have somebody from Gallatin on the call today. And there's a button on the city site where you could watch a live event. So you could set up a text to go at 4:30 because that's when the city council is meeting. And I click that link, and there I am watching the event. Okay. All right. Quite a few of our clients are starting to use texting for juror announcements. So instead of forcing the individual to call up every day to know whether they have to come in the morning, they will get a text message that will say, in this case, you are due, or maybe you are not due. And the organizations that we've signed up that are using this are just loving it. And so are the citizens, who do not have to try to remember that they got to call in at 5 and remember the juror number and remember the case number and find that piece of paper. In this case, they're just going to get a text. So very, very handy. Internal communications, that could be used for 1,000 things, right, Casey?
Yeah, and this is a big use case that we have as well. A little bit different from outreach of your clients and your customers and your constituents that you need to follow up with. This is all internal use case. So many of you have uh, kind of employees that are maybe out in the field, aren't sitting on their computer checking emails as they come in, but still need to get that valuable information that is relevant to them as an employee as well. So HR loves it for keeping new employee hires up abreast of information they need in terms of benefits information, so updates on open enrollment, and then training managers love it as well. There's a lot of salespeople that I don't know, they still go door to door in the same way, but they're out in the field, they're meeting with
Mm-hmm.
clients, and they need the information as kind of readily available in their hand. So same thing with text engagement, but then also the mobile sites can hold training resources, specs of products, new products, promotions that they can talk to their clients about. So there's a wide range of use cases internally for organizations, not just externally.
Mm-hmm. This message in this text about a heart health screening, that's a client in Arkansas that uses the text messages for jury notifications. They happen to have a free health screening, so they send a text to 200 of their employees saying, don't forget, 7:30 to 9, come over to the courthouse for your free health screening. And so many people showed up because otherwise they would have forgotten. They would have not checked their email, or maybe the email went into spam. Public emergencies, for those of you that work in departments where you need to get the word out, whether it's some kind of an urgent threat or a big weather problem, or the big tractor trailer just crashed and the roads are shut down, or you've got a water main break or chlorine gas or whatever it happens to be, all of that can be to get the word out through your email on your social media, but also through texting, is just so darn helpful.
And we have
Um,
a kind of way to design your account for those kind of urgent messages called Express MS. And it actually allows you to preload sort of type of scheduled text messages, and then log in from your personal device, similar to the text chat, but designed with a few clicks if needed. You could send a mass text to your preset lists and employee contact numbers for, God forbid, an emergency of that sort. But having the tool like that in place can be extremely valuable and help the safety of your employees.
For those of you that work with visitors in kind of a cultural setting, the sites we've talked about so far are kind of job training, but it can also be for visitors. This happens to be a site for Salem in Salem, Massachusetts. And I think Anna just sent us all a text. And if you click that link, you go right to this beautiful map that they've built on our platform. And if you tap one of those little icons, you get a little pop-up. There's a description and some pictures and a little audio clip. So for those of you that work in the cultural sector that want to get information out to the public about historic things in town or museums, we have several hundred clients that are using these same tools for that. And we'll send you these slides so you can click the URLs later on. One more, I think we've got, Casey, Park and Rec.
Yeah, so one of our most popular services now is definitely a GPS mapping functionality. It allows for Parks and Rec and different outdoor exhibitions to kind of upload a map that you guys all design into a GPS map. We help you guys plot coordinates along the map. And basically, it's if somebody jumped inside of your paper map and could navigate throughout where they are of your park. So there's ways to put trails on there, specific sites of interest. If there's trail closures, you guys have the ability to quickly and easily update it on your end. But basically, you have a little blue dot and you can help navigate throughout your guys' parks and help keep people in the areas that they need to be.
All right. What questions do you folks have as we went through all this material? It's a great time to ask Casey and me any use case questions. While you're thinking of those and adding them in the chat window, what do these services cost and how would you get started? If you're only going to send out a small number of texts in a month, it's probably 50 bucks a month, 100 bucks a month. It's very small cost to get started. We do have clients that have hundreds of pages of content and they send out 10,000 texts a week. So that can get up into the thousands of dollars. But we work with every size organization you can imagine, a department. So it's generally in the low hundreds to get started. For us, it's just a piece of paper that you sign. We give clients money back guarantee to get it to play with it and see if you like it. So if one of these services has kind of rung the bell, we should just do a quick demo with you and others in your department. And I think then we try to get a use case going, build that little use case here, and then get you a little pilot and get going. All right, we've got Hank that has a question in the Q&A. Great. Let's look at that. Have you ever linked someone's tax bill with a text? Hank, I think maybe what you're saying is when you send out the text, if you want, Hank, you could import information such as property number 1234 and $3,800 is due on. So all those fields, we can grab those fields and put them in either an email or put them in a text. And then they can click a link that takes them to your site where they enter that information and they can pay their property. So if that's what you're thinking of, yeah, that is something that's pretty easy to do. Mary Lou's got questions about items being uploaded. So Casey, talk about the platform and and what can be, kind of uploaded?
Yeah, so in terms of users and phone numbers, you can absolutely upload lists of phone numbers with some of the content that Dave just mentioned for Hank's question. So it could have identifiers, it could have employee numbers, it could have amounts that they donated previous years if you're a nonprofit looking for fundraising tools. So in terms of the texting side, you can absolutely upload user data. And then on the mobile site, yeah, you can upload tons of different content. The design and look and feel is created, but you do that by uploading images. There's uploading of documents, not just to be filled out, but for people to have access to. So Word docs, PowerPoint presentations, Excel, PDF. So all of that's super accessible. And then everything is able to be downloaded by the user. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of content that can be uploaded.
But got a question about, do texts get mistaken for scams? Great question. We recommend that you ask people, your citizens or your employees, to opt in to the list. And when they do that, you can set it up that they get immediately a text back saying, okay, thanks for signing up. So now they voluntarily signed up for that list. And then there'll be a little icon that they can click to add that phone number and your logo into their phone directory. Did I say that right, Casey?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's best practices that we kind of coach you guys on as well. We typically recommend the first text you send out does not contain a link just because people are coached to not click links immediately. So I'm doing it that way. You still all have your standard outreach. So letting them know that this phone number is you guys, put it on your website so that if they were to Google, is this number real, that you would come up in a search and it would be your legitimate website. And then we have other ways too where people can manually opt in by just typing their name and phone number on a form on your website. So they know that they're going to a legit site. And as soon as they do, they automatically get a text message that lets them know they've opted in. So there's ways to make it seem less scammy for sure.
Yep. And I think Casey really hit it. Don't put links in the first several because that looks kind of scammy. And also promote it on your website, like Casey mentioned, in many different places, in your emails. And pretty soon it will, if somebody Googled it, it will come up that is your phone number. Mary Lou asked, can we receive uploads from the consumers? Yep, Mary Lou, they can take a picture of something. They can upload a PDF. We have workforce development that want a picture of the pay stub so they can check the box that the person really got a job. All of that, no problem through mobile. Success rate in getting opt-in. Hank, I think it depends on, is there a big use case and a big, great reason for me to opt in? If it's just general information about the city, about the county of Alameda, I don't know that you're going to get thousands of people. If it's about happenings going on in the park and rec department, maybe. But if you made it specific, information for people that are in baseball league, you're going to get a lot of people. If it's people that are interested in not missing a tax payment, you're going to get a lot of folks. When cities and counties advertise that they have emergency alerts now, they get a lot of folks. On the workforce development, it's really big because people are really in it. For the next 6 months, I'm trying to find a job. So they will certainly text in. So it kind of depends on the use case. But you'll know right off the bat, and Casey will be your coach on that and help you kind of shift your marketing to try to increase that. Garrett asked what kind of devices to send the outbound text from. You can do it from a computer, a laptop, or a tablet, or we have a mobile version of the application. So you can do it all from a beautiful, easy to use mobile version. We give you a little icon that you can store on your phone and you tap that and boop, up it pops. And there are all of the texts that you've got scheduled, or you could type one out and you pick your list and off it goes. So easy peasy. Good questions. How about a few more and then we'll wrap it up? What do you all think about starting to dip your toe in the world of using texting? Once again, I'm suggesting let people opt into the texting. So you're not going to go find a list and spam. This is all voluntarily opting in. Casey, why don't you take the C. Phillips question? Is it considered user-friendly?
Yeah, absolutely. The texting, honestly, we train you and your staff takes around 30 minutes or so, and then you are confident enough to start pushing out messages and building lists. The mobile component takes a little bit longer, but even that, we've built a no-code platform. So I wouldn't imagine too many of you are computer engineers working in workforce. So we've built a platform that's easy for everyone to update on the fly, build a page in a 10 minutes to an hour, depending on the content that you want. And then it's ready to go. So yeah, it's absolutely user friendly. Probably one of the number one kind of endorsements we get is being user friendly and easy for staff to kind of adopt.
And different from every other technology company you've ever worked with, we answer our phones 7 days a week. It's Casey and my phone number and our other staff on our website, our personal numbers. So you will get answers always to your questions. And as you know, you cannot call Microsoft or any other company. It's impossible. But with us, we have a little chat feature, a text chat feature, and or you can just pick up the phone and call us or email us. So you're going to get as much support as you need, unlimited support. What about some of the other folks in workforce and the other departments? Is this something, what's the use case for you folks where it might help with getting more people to either succeed or come to your events? Anything that comes to mind, everybody? Any final remarks, Casey, or suggestions for folks?
Um, I'd say the majority is of what I get from newer clients 6 months down the line is that they thought that this would be difficult to implement and they wish they'd done it sooner. It's not hard to implement, and going into it with it's not going to be the same as it is in the first 6 weeks as it is a year, 2 years in. We've mentioned clients that send 500,000 texts a month. They didn't start sending 500,000 texts a month. They sent a few thousand, and it builds and it snowballs. So going into it with realistic kind of expectations that you're going to see small increases in job fairs and large increases in job fairs and then super full job fairs. So just that it's not a daunting task in order to implement.
I guess my final comment is I agree with you. And also, once you start using texting for this one use case, you're going to use it for 10 other use cases. If you're a manager and you have 10 people in your team, you're going to use it for communicating with your staff once or twice a week. It'll just spiral because people respond to texts. That's the one thing about texting. When everybody on this call gets a text, you look at your phone. It's almost impossible not to look at that text. And people know that it's short. It's probably, for the most part, not spammy. And then they can click a link if they want to. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll get you information tomorrow. If any of you want to set up a chat with Casey or me or a demo or whatever, stick around and just put it in the chat window, or you can reply to the text that we sent to you. And we would love just to keep the conversation going and get everybody here on the phone using text messaging. So Casey and I will stick around, but otherwise, thanks so much and have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.